What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Third Gen Junkies. You know who it is, Chris. And today we're going to be going over some tomfoolery. Some redneck engineering and what to do and what not to do to a third gen 82 to 92 Camaro or Firebird gas tank. Had a buddy who swapped out his gas tank. He always had some issues. Sorry, it's like 89 degrees out here. It's hot. He had issues with filling the car up, and every time he'd try to fill it up, it would spew back out the spout at the top. He couldn't figure out why. And he pulled his 305 out, dismantled it. It started smoking pretty bad, so he got a 350 block, 4-bolt main, built it, Will Virginius, and it's a IROC, and he decided he was, since the car had sat a while, he was going to replace the gas tank. And he always wondered why every time he filled up the gas, he'd have to either go really slow and only pull the trigger halfway. It'd take him like 25 minutes to fill up his gas tank, and if he pulled the trigger at full speed, it would shoot back out and try to hit him or splatter all over the ground. Well, he dropped the gas tank and replaced it with a new one. Put a new electric fuel pump in it, in tank Walbro 450. So it has plenty of fuel up to the carb, and he did take it from a TPI, tune port injection, to a carburetor. But what he found was kind of crazy. So here you have a decent looking stock third gen Camaro Firebird, 82 to 92 gas tank. And 90% of the time when people drop these or pull them out, they have an issue getting them back in. And when you try to put the filler neck, this piece here, the tube, up in there, there's a lip on the inside. Let me see here. Show you on Space Ghost here. I can't remember if Space Ghost has a gas tank in it or not. I think it does. Okay, yeah. So this has a gas tank in it, but there's a metal lip down in here. I know you guys can't see that, but this is plastic here, but there's a metal lip down in there, and almost everybody that I know, they know what I'm talking about when it comes to this. You have a hard time getting it up in there. So what I've always suggested people to do is take a hammer and pound that metal lip down flat. It's usually like this. Pound it down toward the passenger side, just flat. I know some people, and I've heard this, and I've seen people do it before. What they do is they'll take a pry bar and they'll stick it in the end right here, take the cap off, stick it at the end right here, and just pull up just a hair to get it past the lip. I don't suggest that. Only reason being is because of this right here. I'll show you what tends to happen on these is when you flex it, this tube is really long. This tube goes almost halfway into the tank. It goes to about right here on the tank. Well, what they do is, if you barely see how it's shiny and silver right here, right there, that is solder, where they like braise almost, I would say, all that on. And when you bend it up like that, you can crack it here. And when you fill it, even though that tube goes all the way down to there, it will leak. Once you fill it up to the point where it's full, it will leak out, it'll run down, and it'll drip. We have another buddy, Nick Corrales, who had the same issue. For some reason, every time he'd fill up his gas tank, he couldn't fill it over 3/4 because it would leak. And we figured out why, and that was part of the reason. But that's why I don't suggest bending the tubes like that, because they're soldered or brazed. I mean, granted, they're cheap. They're like 150 bucks for a new one, but I just don't suggest it. And honestly, if you have a third gen and you want to get away from all the steel, the tank, and go lighter, there's a lot of information out there on third gen F body worldwide and thirdgen.org. Just swap a fourth gen plastic fuel tank in it, and everybody, there's so much information out there on what fuel pump you can use, how to go about bypassing different stuff on it. It's way better. I have one upstairs for Max when it comes time for that. Actually, it was supposed to be for Max, but Max has a 20-gallon fuel cell, so I won't need that. I might actually swap that into Space Ghost. But I don't know why Will had so much issues with this car. Like the rear end doesn't line up. He gave me a brand new panhard bar, non-adjustable panhard bar, which I'll probably put on Black Magic, because her car's completely stock and it don't need any adjustability. But for some reason his rear end doesn't line up at all the way it should. It's really recessed on the driver's side and it sticks out on the passenger side, or vice versa. I think it sticks out on the driver's side and sunk in on the passenger. Well, in any case, doesn't matter. It basically doesn't line up properly, and you can jack the body of the car up and you can swing it to where you want, but he needs on-car adjustable. And like I told him, if you want really good quality on-car adjustable, call up Founders. Founders is amazing. Their products are awesome. They have non-on-car or non-adjustable on-car, lower control arms, upper and lower panhard bars, wonder bars. They have, you know, all on-car adjustable. I personally suggest and tell everybody on-car adjustable, only because say you didn't know and you put something on there, you put just a regular non-adjustable panhard bar on there, and then you find out your car was wrecked or something and you try to adjust it, there is no adjustability. With an on-car, you can, you know, play with the Heim joints and you can move it and change it. Plus it's awesome to be able to adjust it for, you know, different ride heights, different traction, if you're, you know, street strip style or whatever. But so yeah, I told him, I was like, you know, he gave me that panhard bar, which is awesome, thank you again. And he gave me a lot of the scrap stuff, you know, so I can scrap for the stuff he's not using on his Camaro. But he was having all these issues and whatnot, and and he pulls it out, the gas tank out, and he puts a new one in, and he says, hey, come get this old gas tank and this old steering shaft. I bought a new steering shaft, which I did suggest to him that he get a hold of my buddy Chris Hendren, who sells the Astro shafts, painted, fully adjustable, with an upgraded bearing that you can buy also, instead of the one-piece solid plastic bearing that's trash. And the Astro shaft has a U-joint at the top and the bottom, fully adjustable, way better for the steering, makes it nice and tight. You put that and a bearing on, you'll see a major difference. I mean, like one wheel or one finger turning the wheel type shit. But you also run into, if you still have slop in your steering or any of that, then it could be your front suspension needs to be rebuilt, or the steering box needs to be rebuilt and tightened up. And then if you do all that, like Will, and say you still have slop, then it's obviously in your steering column itself. But I suggested to him that he do that, but he had already went ahead and bought a stock replacement, which I can't hate on him for it, but I wouldn't do it, because it's just like 4 pieces of like rubbery leather smashed between the 2 parts at the bottom. It's called a rag joint. It's trash. When you can spend, you know, $135 and get a painted kit, whatever color you want, bolts right in. You just got to put one little notch in for a set screw once you get it set to where you need it, and put a slap of bearing in it, and it's 4 times better. But yeah, he's been having all these issues with the car, and you know, he's swapped out all the front suspension, all new springs, all new shocks. I mean, he's doing a bunch on this car. But when he got to that gas tank, he was like freaking out and he didn't understand what the hell was going on. And then he hands me the steering shaft and an old oil pump rod for the oil pump, and he gives me the pan hard bar, and I put that in the truck, and then he says, here, let's go get the gas tank. And he pulls this bullshit out right here. Now you see it's one solid piece on this one. Then you got some hillbilly redneck tomfuckery where I don't know if it cracked or it had a leak, and I've never seen one broken in that spot. Like, there's the top, you know, there's that one, it's the same in the bend, and somebody literally, you would think that there would be no issue if it's together, you know, unless it broke clean off and they like just shoved it down in there, and then just got a piece of rubber hose that was a little bit bigger, and actually, oh yeah, it was broke clean off. Because look, I can bend it. I didn't even play with this before. That's why. The fuel was going down and it was hitting the lip to this section of pipe here. And instead of going up, over, and straight in, it was hitting and it was slowly backing up and then spitting out. But yeah, this redneck tomfuckery hillbilly backwoods bullshit. So this is one of them don't do it to your car when it's only like $135 for brand new in-box replacements. It's, I don't know who the hell would do some dumb shit like that, but there's also some other tomfuckery shit that was in his car that he found also. Like, I know, and I've done it on cars myself, and it's a quick fix usually, but normally your quick fixes end up being permanent because you never get back around to doing it. He actually fuel lines, that's what I was getting to. Your fuel lines, you know, when your fuel lines rot in certain spots, you a lot of times you'll just cut it in that bad section, and you take a piece of, you know, fuel hose, and like me personally, I like double clamp both sides just to make sure it doesn't leak, and you get by with that. His whole car, almost from front to back, I shit you not, from these lines off of the fuel pump all the way to the front of the car were rubber hose. That is like, whoa, almost died. That is like some of the worst bullshit, redneck ass, hillbilly fucking garbage that anybody can ever do. Like, if you're gonna do that, you might as well just do like he's gonna do and run AN line, like real deal braided AN line, and you run AN fittings, and like do it the fucking right way. Use the clips that have the rubber on the insides and mount them to the frame all the way down. And I know Will's gonna watch this, so there's another thing that I forgot to talk to him about, and he'll see this Saturday. One thing that sucks is he went with Edinburgh carb, and this is the issue I'm having with Ruby. Our fuel lines for a fuel injected car are just like this piece of shit TBI, or actually it was a V6, but same principle. The fuel lines come up over here on the driver's side. You're running an on-block fuel pump, it's got to come all the way across the front end and over to here, or you have to run them up over here along the firewall and over, and then up to like here, and then up to your carburetor. Like I said, on the older cars that were carbureted, what they did was they ran them all the way down the body, all the way up to like right here, and then it comes up over the trans tunnel, comes to right here, and then boom, you're right onto the on block. Now, like I told you guys, he's got a Walbro 450 in the tank, so it's gonna pump it up to there. But he's, like I'm saying, is what I suggested to him was he should run them up to here, run them up to here, run them up, run them over, run it, you know, down around the AC box, over here, away from the headers, because you got full length fucking headers on it, just like Ruby, and run it over, and then run it up to the carburetor. So in hindsight, like if it was me, Them couple of junkyard cars had really good fucking lines on them down in Paducah, Kentucky. I should have had those guys lift them up and put them on the air and use my tent and just took them all off. But I would have had to strap them to the roof of my mother-in-law's SUV, and she probably wouldn't be happy with them bouncing around or scratching the roof of her truck. So, but I know they do. Stainless Works makes stainless lines. I mean, I would put stainless lines on it. That's probably what I'll end up doing with Ruby eventually. But yeah. So, I mean, he's got some work to do on that car. But I mean, they hacked this car up. Whoever had it before him, I mean, they got it to where it run. They drove it, whatever. But I don't know. That's some ghetto shit, and I know some people who do ghetto shit like that and whatever. But that's just some hillbilly ass tomfuckery bullshit, redneck backwoods. You don't do type shit, because all it takes is something sharp to fly up in there and it can slice that rubber hose, and then you're leaking, and yeah, it's not good. But so that's like one of the do's and don'ts. So you don't do that to a gas tank, period. And actually the whole trapdoor mod, a lot of people bitch and complain about people, you know, you're losing structural integrity of it when you trapdoor it. That's fucking bullshit. The cars, unless it's a hardtop car, the car isn't stiff at all. T-top cars are already weak as hell. Unless you got subframe connectors that stiffen it up, it's trapdooring it isn't shit. And honestly, they should have did that from the factory. Ruby is trapdoored. Black Magic isn't. I dropped that tank, and it's not as hard as people fucking think. It doesn't take as long as you think, and that car is from the Midwest its whole life, so that'll tell you that it wasn't that hard for me to get it off. Some of them, yes, you got to cut the bolts off, and you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, so I mean, it's not hard to drop the tank. That's all I'm gonna say. People make it seem like it's a really hard thing to do, and it's not. So whatever. But yeah, to me, I just drop the tank. It's easier. I mean, unless you live somewhere where you know the bolts are rusted, you're gonna have to do a lot of cutting and use a torch or this, that, and the other. And I will tell you now, the panhard bar, not the upper, the lower, not the one that has the little bend in it, the lower is the way they ran them stock. And if you own a 3rd gen, then you know, just like I can show you right here. Here's one of the stock panhard bars. As you can tell, this bolt is still in there because it runs through a metal sleeve, and then it rusts and it seizes itself in there, and they're about a pain in the ass to get off. That's why most people, when they try to change them out, they just say screw it. They cut the bolts, pull the stock one out, pound out the piece of the bolt that's stuck in there if they can get it out, and they replace it with aftermarket. Use anti-seize, slap it on there, slather it, make sure that it doesn't have any freaking issues, so that if they need to pull it off again, it comes off. Because I have all Founders stuff for Space Ghost, or Space Ghost, not Space Ghost, Max. I have some other stuff for the other car, for Space Ghost and whatnot. But yeah, so I don't know, I'm rambling. It's like a 17-minute video. Should have only been like 8, but yeah. More content coming as usual. Gonna be doing some stuff with the G6 here in a little bit, getting this thing off the trailer. I'm gonna cut this damn thing up and get it gone, scrap run, and be swapping some rims and tires around and selling some rims and tires. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Like, subscribe, hit that share button, drop a comment down below. Like I always tell you guys, hit me up in my email, cameraman, C-A-M-E-R-A-M-A-N, Chris, C-H-R-I-S, 79 at gmail.com if you want stickers. Because when you comment on the YouTube video, for some reason, I can't tag people back to where you know that I commented back, to let you know where to reach out to me. So hit me up on the email, and then I'll send them out for free. And like I said, with every order for buying car parts from me, I always send stickers in the mail as well. And I got the designer hopefully designing t-shirts here soon, so merch will be coming soon. See you next time.